The poor here will be rich there, and the enemies of the Lord here will be his friends there.
Yo, Pope! The Pope got bars! The Pope got that Crusader bars! Okay! First Crusade, have not forgotten about this, or any of the other series, man. Look, if you're new, and you think what I'm wearing is cool, man, go check it out. Link is in the description. Very comfortable. Very cozy. Go check it out, man. It's made for the Christmas holidays, for the cold. I wear it because my Caribbean body used to tropical heat is not. I can't deal with cold. I can't deal with the slightest bit of cold. That's why I'm always wearing this, and it's great. Go check it out. Link in the description below, man. Let's continue.
To quote historian of the Crusades Edward Peters, in Europe itself, the news of the Crusade spread swiftly, and memories of it lasted long. To many people in the 12th century and later,
this whole Crusade thing is entertaining as hell. I can't even lie.
Their own world. The Crusades' triumphs were characterized and mischaracterized in chronicles and poems. Perhaps its deepest legacy was the sense that God had intervened unmistakably and decisively in human history once again in favor of a sinful but chosen people.
I don't understand that whole logic of the Crusaders, to be honest with you, because they say, oh God, my God, but like the people they're crusading against, the Muslims, they also believe in God. So like, I never really understood that whole logic. Like, I thought about that before. I'm like, wait a minute. This is the most contradictory thing I've ever heard. They're saying my God has chosen us for this, but yet it's like, why? Like, why? Like, those people also believe in God that you're literally crusading against. I never understood that logic. Let's continue, shall we?
Immediate achievements proved impossible to sustain, but its memory could be, and was. The First Crusade and its consequences touched the lives.
This is a cool animation right here. That's actually a really nice touch, Kings and Generals.
In more ways than any earlier event in European history. Most of the time, this event is told exclusively based on the writings of the people who witnessed the entire arc, making it seem like it was destined to happen, obscuring many details along the way. Today we will take a closer look into the events and figures that lit the match and started the First Crusade. For starters, one detail not usually mentioned would be that the Crusaders almost certainly stunk to high heaven. Luckily,
oh yeah, that's true.
You pay only
Ooh, this is cool, but I'm kind of broke right now. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I've been grinding my butt off on using YouTube and literally working like hours every day, man. You have no idea.
Alexios
you have no idea.
Usurped the throne of a bankrupted and exhausted Eastern Roman Empire in 1081, and so far we covered the first decade of his reign. During
Alexios,
the Normans and Pechenegs, and restored imperial authority while maintaining the balance between powerful.
Everybody told me this guy is hype. I'm waiting to see.
Clergy and commoners. And yet the biggest issue on the agenda was left unaddressed. The now firmly established Sultanate of Rum, which began as a branch of the Seljuk Empire, was no longer a vassal of the Byzantines. A year after his victory at the Battle of Livonian, Alexios...
What the hell were the Byzantines thinking? Or should I say the Romans? What the hell were the Romans thinking? Giving up territory to them for what? Really? What were they thinking? Like, when I saw that in the last episode, I was like, why the heck would they do that? Like, I get it, I get the logic behind it, but still, like, eventually they would obviously just get to a point where they can't really be a vassal anymore. Now, congratulations, you have built yourself a brand new enemy right on your border. Like, bruh.
Launched several ambitious social and monetary reforms and crowned his son John as heir, before assembling an army to reconquer Anatolia. But before he could depart,
reconquering Anatolia that you literally gave to the Seljuk Turks, man.
Reached the capital, and the emperor knew that he could not campaign in the east while the west was in open rebellion.
Bro, how many uprisings have Serbia always have? How many uprisings have Serbia always have?
Natia in 1093, Nikephoros Iachenes, the son of Romanos IV, was caught with a concealed dagger. After being tortured, the co-conspirators were revealed, and to the emperor's surprise, the list included the former empress Maria and his own brother Adrianos, who plotted to kill him.
Wow! Your own family? Nah, I'm not gonna say nothing. Nah, I'm not. Nah, I was gonna say something, but
Alexios came to the realization.
Nah, I just got too much PTSD from that thought.
That the
I ain't gonna lie to you, bro.
Stable enough to afford a large-scale, lengthy campaign against the Seljuks, and that with every idle moment, it was slipping back to the disasters he fought so desperately to avoid. Luckily, he was meticulously working on another plan. After witnessing the military prowess of the Norman knights firsthand, Alexios appealed to the courts of the West, hoping to inspire an armed pilgrimage which would reconquer the Roman lands for more than just gold. Agents spread the stories of how the Turks extorted and killed innocent pilgrims on their way to Jerusalem, how the Muslims destroyed holy sites and turned ancient churches into mosques or stables, how Christian men and women were enslaved and violated. Along with these came generous donations of not just coins, but precious artifacts, even pieces of the true cross, giving a taste of what was to come if a group of knights would take up this colossal task and act as a new kind of mercenary force.
Nah, bro. Nah, bro. Nah. Okay, all of this, I literally just did a reaction. France reaction, all these other reactions. These people that are claiming to have the true cross and all that stuff. Like, there's no freaking way that they have. It's been 1,000 years almost. Yeah, around 1,000 years. Because this is 10, almost just roughly around 1,000 years since Jesus was on earth in his what the hell, mortal form. And you're telling me that they still, the amount of true cross pieces or things that Christ truly had around him or wore, that I'm seeing all these reactions. I'm like, what? I'm like, there's no way. There's no freaking way, bruh. Because when Jesus was crucified, the Romans weren't even Christians, so it's like, why would the Romans just simply viewed him as just a madman who was just talking a whole bunch of rubbish, talking about he's the king of the Jews and he was sent on the earth to, do what he was supposed to do in his prophecy. The Romans just viewed him as a madman, really and truly. So it's like, why the hell would they even save that stuff from him? It wasn't until later that the Romans converted to Christianity. I know, so and then it's like, stuff gets lost throughout time. Stuff gets lost, man. Like, anyways,
the Seljuk
I'm just saying,
of the many pilgrims
I think that's cap
towards Jerusalem was exaggerated, but not untrue. In contrast to the sedentary Islamic population, the nomads didn't strictly follow the Islamic laws of war and were known for their brutal punishments and executions. The Seljuk realm was decentralized, and rogue chieftains often enacted their own justice. More importantly, Jerusalem, as well as the entire Seljuk Empire, was in a period of turmoil caused by a succession crisis with at least 4 pretenders and many other governors fighting each other. The majority of Christian Europe was illiterate and obsessed with holy relics. There were numerous sites that people believed to be sacred, and groups of people were displaying the bones of supposed saints for a few coins. and yet the most holy of sites was that of Jerusalem and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, from which pilgrims would bring back scrapings of rock or dirt as proof of their journey. That very church was destroyed by the Fatimid Caliph in 1009 and rebuilt in 1048 with Byzantine resources.
Look at what this displays. Put this in any angle in your room, living room, anywhere you want. It displays this. You don't even need Christmas lights. Go and check this out. You won't be disappointed.
Fear took hold of the populace, who thought the Seljuks would do the same. In fact, many believed that Jesus would return around this time to the place of his birth. Natural occurrences, such as meteor showers and earthquakes at the time, only deepened the fears and hopes of the Christian world. For centuries,
crazy! I ain't gonna lie, that is mad.
World: Iberia, Sicily, South Italy, and Byzantium. But a new movement was starting to develop within Lorraine, Burgundy, and France, one which called for a completely new type of war.
But that wouldn't really make sense for Jesus to return. It's only been 1,000 years. Look, hear me out, okay? I said this in one of my other reactions before, but did I actually say that in my reaction? I don't know. But I did mention this to people before. I'm not sure if I mentioned this to my channel. So if you read the Bible, I'm not sure if the Quran says this as well, but if you read the Bible, the Bible literally does say that time is different, which scientists have literally confirmed this. That time is different in different places. Time is not the same everywhere. The concept of time is such a wonky thing, but scientists have literally confirmed that time is different in different places, right? And the Bible literally says that time is different in heaven. So yeah, it's been like 2,000 years to us here in 2024, almost 2025, since Jesus was on earth, but it's probably been like, I don't know, like a day in heaven, really and truly, right? So it's only been 1,000 years. So, you know, again, I said this in my other reaction where I said, where I was talking about, I don't know, maybe why we can't see God, what God probably is. Imagine you're playing like a RPG game or map-based video game, something like that, right? Like Hoi 4, Stellaris, something like that. Like Cities Skyline, and you know how you're like just staring at a screen, and the time is going by fast, like in Hoi 4 or one of those games, right? And you see the time going by really fast, and it goes by like hours super quickly, right? To them inside of the game, obviously, like that is legitimately going by super quick. To them, you know, they're way ahead, obviously, but to us, it's just, you know, been like literally a couple of seconds gone by. But in that game, it's like freaking a whole week is gone already, right? Think about it like that, right? It helps you understand the whole time being different in different places. It's kind of like that. So, you know, it's like, it's only been 1,000 years, bro. Like, come on now, like, let's be real. Obviously, I don't know what time is like in heaven, but according to what the Bible says, I forgot what it exactly says, but it's significantly slower, or should I say time is significantly faster here. So yeah, 1,000 years is like nothing. So Jesus returning, nah, and this is why, you know, it does seem like where is he? Why hasn't he come back yet? Right? Like every time I think, because I used to think that to myself as a kid, I'm like, damn, it's been like so long. Why isn't Jesus coming back? But then when I learned that whole thing about time, especially the fact that science has literally confirmed that yes, time is different in different places, I realized, okay, that makes sense. So yeah, that's cool, ain't it? Let's continue.
War, a holy war. Pope Urban II himself cited the Book of Daniel, stating that God had indeed changed the...
And also, that's another reason why I believe in God as well. That is one of the reasons why I believe in God. Because of the whole, like, because the Bible literally talks about how time is different in different places and dimensions before science was able to even say that themselves, by the way. So if anybody ever debates you about if God or not is real, you could bring that up to them. I'm not sure what the Quran says, but if you're a Christian, you could bring that up. All right, let's continue. Talking too much.
And offered a new remedy for human sin. The pagans to the north were gone. The Reconquista was yet another source of fear and hope, and the nobles were obsessed with the idea of a just war. The lords who dominated the fractured monarchies grew rich and numerous with the technological and agricultural innovations of the 11th century, and by now, most houses adopted primogeniture, which meant that the older sons inherited the domain, leaving younger sons without a purpose, often turning against each other despite the outcries of the church. Pilgrimage was one of the best ways for the Latins to repent for their sins, whether it was to Santiago de Compostela, Rome, or Jerusalem, as long as they could afford it. They knew the road and how to fight, but lacked a common goal and leader. Until this period, the papacy had little more than nominal power, but the energetic pontificates of Leo IX, Nicholas II, Alexander II, and especially Gregory VII led the Papal States to vie for power and authority over the entire Catholic world. Leo IX personally led an army in 1053, as seen in our series on the Normans in Italy. In 1063, Alexander II sent a papal banner and an indulgence for those who fell in battle against the Muslims to the army preparing for the siege of Barbastro in Spain, and another one to William of Normandy as he was preparing his conquest of England. In 1073, Gregory VII proposed to lead an army to aid Constantinople, and now Urban II, who had just regained the papal seat from the anti-pope in 1093, the year the plot to kill Alexios was thwarted, was preparing to outdo them all. Pope Urban II was elected in 1088, and was one of the most prominent supporters of the Gregorian reforms, which outlined the superiority of the church over the secular rulers. Initially, he was isolated from Rome due to his clash with the Holy Roman Emperor Henry IV, but he was energetic, well-spoken, and extremely charismatic, touring Norman Italy, gathering support everywhere he went. Determined to gain the pontificate, he even reached out to the Eastern Roman Empire, extending the friendly correspondence with Alexios, which was established by the former Pope Victor III.
This man put all the stats into charisma.
Recognized as the Bishop of Rome in 1093, he continued his frantic expeditions across Christendom and assembled the Council of Piacenza in March of 1095, which was centered around church reform, the anti-pope, heresy, and the issue of the French king Philippe I, who married Bertrand of Montfort despite the fact that they both had spouses of their own, for which he was excommunicated. This council was in direct opposition to the Holy Roman Emperor, who was now fighting a civil war against his wife and son, which further strengthened Urban's claims. At the end of the proceedings, a few Byzantine ambassadors joined the council, and Urban inspired many soldiers to enter Alexios' service in his war against the Turks, and in return, all of their sins would be forgiven. This was only a small preview, during which the Pope tried to see how his audience would respond, before he could proceed with the grand tour of France he planned. The next crucial step was securing the support of two notable figures. The first was Bishop Adhemar, who would become the spiritual leader of the movement, while the second was Count Raymond of Toulouse, who was incredibly wealthy, had already fought Muslims in Iberia, and made a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. With their allegiance secured, Urban crossed the Alps in July 1095 and entered France in full regalia, to the cheers of massive crowds who had not seen a pope in half a century. The first place he went to was Clermont, where he held a council on November 17th. For 10 days he discussed clerical matters, but suddenly he asked everyone to step outside the church and addressed over 400 listeners, making arguably the most influential speech in history. We have 6 accounts recounting that proclamation, each of which was written after the capture of Jerusalem and slightly differs from the rest. But here is a part of one of them, written by a man who attended the council. Now that you, O sons of God, have consecrated yourselves to God to maintain peace among yourselves more vigorously, and to uphold the laws of the church faithfully, there is work to do. For you must turn the strength of your sincerity, now that you are aroused by divine correction, to another affair that concerns you and God. Hastening to the way, you must help your brothers living in the Orient, who need your aid, for which they have already cried out many times. For, as most of you have been told, the Turks, a race of Persians who have penetrated within the boundaries of Romania, even to the Mediterranean, to that point which they call the Arm of St. George, in occupying more and more lands of the Christians, have overcome them, already victims of 7 battles, and have killed and captured them, have overthrown churches, and have laid waste to God's kingdom. If you permit this supinely for very long, God's faithful ones will be still further subjected. Concerning this affair, I, with suppliant prayer, not I, but the Lord, exhort you, heralds of Christ, to persuade all of whatever class, both knights and—
Bro, we got a man sleeping right here. Oh my gosh, bro, this— Oh, I was literally about to say, oh, this is kind of hype. This is kind of hype. I'm not gonna lie. This speech is kind of hype. Did I see this? I see this. Oh my gosh.
and footmen, both rich and poor, in numerous edicts to strive to help expel that wicked race from our Christian lands before it is too late. I speak to those present. I send word to those not here. Moreover, Christ commands it. Remission of sins will be granted for those going thither if they end a shackled life.
I ain't gonna lie to you though, that's probably realistic. It's probably a realistic reaction. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's probably a realistic reaction, man. I bet you like there's at least like a couple people just falling asleep, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. Oh my gosh.
Either on land or in crossing the sea or in struggling against the heathen. I, being vested with that gift from God, grant this to those who go. Let those who are—
I swore he was throwing his middle finger up there just now.
Even against believers, go forth against the infidels in a battle worthy to be undertaken now and to be finished in victory. Now let those who until recently existed as plunderers be soldiers of Christ. Now let those who formerly contended against brothers and relations rightfully fight barbarians. Now let those who recently were hired for a few pieces of silver win their eternal reward. Let those who wearied themselves to the detriment of body and soul labor for a twofold honor. Nay, more, the sorrowful here will be glad there, the poor here will be rich there, and the enemies of the Lord here will be his friends there.
Yo, Pope! The Pope got bars! The Pope got that Crusader bars! Okay! Golly, man! Got me bopping my head to this. God damn, no, I want to go on a crusade, man.
Let no delay postpone the journey of those about to go, but when they have collected the money owed to them and the expenses for the journey, and when winter has ended and spring has come, let them enter the crossroads courageously with the Lord going on before. Contrary to popular belief, there was no overwhelming cheer proclaiming Deus Vult. In fact, the reception was mixed. At the end of his speech, Bishop Aldemar stepped forward and was the first to proclaim that he would go on this crusade, sewing a red cross to his shoulder. The outline of this massive project was set, and regardless of which version we interpret, the points Urban was trying to make are clear. Christendom should unite and stop its internal sinful conflicts, and instead direct them against the Muslims, who commit atrocities against the pilgrims, in order to aid the Eastern Roman Empire and liberate the Holy Sepulchre in return for remission of all sins. Pope Urban II had the same goal as Gregory, but was far more diplomatic, as well as being a marketing genius, taking the idea of the pilgrimage, which was already the most popular option the nobility took in order to repent for their sins, and repackaging it with a new purpose, one which would solve domestic disputes, while also boosting the legitimacy of the papacy in both the West and the East. This armed pilgrimage was
so
open
smart.
to all, but intentionally directed at the knights of France, and excluded the peasants, women, children, elderly, and clergy unless a special permission was granted. Notably, simply joining this crusade would not result in remission of all sin, and the crusaders were required to act appropriately and pay for the expenses of their own journey. Each man who joined had to wear a cross on his shoulder and not take it off until he returned. Anyone who took the cross but failed to fulfill their oath was to be treated as an outlaw, and anyone who touched the property of a crusader in the next 3 years was to be excommunicated. This was to
very
be a
harsh
project on a scale unseen since the days of the Roman Emperor Trajan, with many logistical difficulties, most of which were to be met by the Eastern Roman Empire. So to tackle it, Urban set the date of August 15th, 1096, the time of the harvest in the region, which meant that the Byzantines would be able to supply the army. Several armies under different leaders were to depart from different locations, so that no region was to be exhausted by the Crusaders, while the whole enterprise was to be under the guidance of Bishop Adhemar. Many historical narratives begin the story of the First Crusade at the Council of Clermont, but this is not entirely true. The Pope began his grand tour of France, and within the next 13 months, he visited dozens of cities, including Le Puy, Avignon, Lyon, Poitiers, Bordeaux, Toulouse, Carcassonne, and Montpellier, saving the biggest cities for special occasions like Christmas or Easter, while carefully avoiding the Normans of Normandy, who disagreed with him, and the royal domain of the French king, who he excommunicated. With each visit,
This man! Oh, this man is a cunning. Oh, I can't curse. Oh my god.
the crowd.
Oh, this man is cunning, bro.
Outcry louder. As he was traveling, he also wrote letters to lords and clergymen, several of which survived. In them, we already see the euphoria taking over as the general population took this novel idea and ran with it. In his letters, the Pope recognizes that the response was larger than he ever anticipated and desperately attempts to take back control of the situation. To neither clerics nor monks, however, do we concede permission to go without the permission of their bishops or abbots. Let it be the bishop's duty to permit their parishioners to go only with the advice and provision of the clergy. Nor should young married men rashly set out on the journey without the consent of their spouses. In another letter sent to Iberia, he writes, "If the knights of other provinces have decided with one mind to go to the aid of the Asian Church and to liberate their brothers from the tyranny of the Saracens, so ought you with one mind and with our encouragement to work with greater endurance to help a church so near you resist the invasion of the Saracens. No one must doubt that if he dies on this expedition for the love of God and his brothers, his sins will surely be forgiven, and he will gain a share of eternal life through the most compassionate mercy of our God. So if any of you has made up his mind to go to Asia, it is here instead that he should try to fulfill his vow, because it is no virtue to rescue Christians from the Saracens in one place, only to expose them to the tyranny and oppression of the Saracens in another." But it was too late. Everyone was consumed by this idea and began selling off everything they owned for the journey ahead.
Woo!
Fever ran across
Ay.
the prices of grain and livestock plummeted, while bandits stole what they could, taking advantage of the precious moment. Both Alexios and Urban spent years preparing for this very moment, yet no one could anticipate what was about to happen. In our next episode, this fever will coalesce into what is known as the People's Crusade. If you don't want to miss any episodes, make sure you are subscribed and have pressed the bell button to see them. Please consider liking, commenting, and sharing. It helps immensely.
Learn about this in more detail is a lot more fun, not gonna lie, bro. You made it to the end of the video. Go subscribe if you're new. Check out my other reactions on my channel, especially my Crusade reactions, man. Go click the link in the descriptions or comment that I'm gonna pin to the products down below if you're interested in them. If you got any suggestions, man, go comment it down below. Make sure you like the video so that my stuff stays on the algorithm, man. Thank you for watching and goodbye.